So here are all of my encouragements for you all to make terrible decisions as I am the GM.
Ash has a crossbow bolt in her side, 0 dots in skirmish, and 0 dots in wreck. And I'm so excited to see this get even worse. So that's one vote for escalation.
Skelly has 3 guns and all the ammo.
Crossroads has no guns, but Crossroads is a gun powered by ghosts.
Have we established that your guns are specialty? I feel like we're establishing that your guns are specialty.
Before this crew, they were my only friends.
You've known us for 5 days.
You've
known those guns a lot longer.
These are my babies.
I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to harvest. This doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
This is not.
No,
This is not.
don't do this.
Doing this to an executioner?
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Like this, we call that suicide, you know?
Oh, man.
This seems great. I will do a fortune roll. No thoughts. Head empty. 1! I rolled a 1!
Yep. You can hear me now, can't you? Please tell me you can hear me now. I'm sorry, it's been a while. Cool. I apologize for that. I apologize also for the weird echo. That's never happened before, and I changed nothing. So I need to be more alert about that one as well. I apologize. But hello, it's me. It's Brandon has arrived. Yet again on Sunday after a very long hiatus because my brain was not good. But thank you so very much for joining us this evening for yet another session of our Speculate special event on this channel, Blades in the Dark, the Case of the Cindered Seal. All of my friends are presently waiting in the wings to engage in some shenanigans. But before we engage in those shenanigans, I would like very much, first and foremost, before I give everybody the usual housekeeping notes on this channel, to remind you that if you are on Twitch and you have not done all of the necessary things that you need to do since the Twitch kerfuffle that happened a couple of weeks ago, it is very important that you change your password, that you activate two-factor authentication, and if you stream, Twitch may have already reset your stream key sometime, maybe even after you did, if you haven't already. So it's kind of important that you make sure that those things happen. One of the hiccups that we had was literally a stream key issue. I'm really sorry about that. We were really hoping to start a little bit earlier this evening, but Twitch decided to foil our plans, and I'm very sorry. So a reminder to you all, if you are on Twitch, it's kind of important for your own security, not only on Twitch, but your security on all of the other accounts that you may have everywhere else in the world, to be as alert as possible about that issue and change your passwords and increase your security where necessary. So yes, with that being said, a reminder to everyone here that your patronage, not only of this channel, but of all of the other wonderful things that take place in and around this space, is how we continue to keep the lights on this channel. So, !ArvTube will give you access to the YouTube channel, where you can find streams of this and all of the other content that takes place on this channel, all of which is very rad, so I definitely recommend that you check those things out. !ArvTweets will give you access to Greg's Twitter, where Greg is consistently erudite and thoughtful as always, so that's a good place to follow him, not only to get updates about what's taking place on this channel, but to just hear Greg constantly be smart. !ArvCard gives you access to the Discord channel, where you can interact with all of the lovely people that you meet in this community, get more updates about what's going on this channel, and otherwise engage with one of the best communities on Twitch, because that's what you are, one of the best communities on Twitch. Exclamation point Arftreon will give you access to the Patreon for this channel, through which you can financially support the work that takes place on this channel and make sure that we can continue making cool things like this. Exclamation point Speculate will also give you access to the Speculate website and Discord and Patreon, where you can support the work that Speculate does on this channel, so we can continue making cool content with other SFF professionals, like the case of the Cindered Seal, and like God, the name escaped me because I haven't been on stream for a while now. Rebel Crown, which I'm very excited to get into later this month as well. So that's going to be very exciting. Exclamation point Our Shop will give you access to the shop, where you can find all of the so much cool merch about some of the content that takes place on this channel. Hint, hint. At some point, I would like for us to have some really cool Cindered Seal merch. This is not me saying that it's actually going to happen, but if you support the shop, maybe it will. So that would be kind of cool. And also, obviously, exclamation point Icarus will give you access to information about Icarus and Jelinek, Greg's wonderful graphic novels published by Athos Arts. Exclamation point Grey Shade KS, where you can find more information about Grey Shade, which I know that I just, this is me talking to Arf. I know that my brain has not been good, and I need to message you about a thing. But I would like everybody else to know that Grey Shade is rad, and I'm very excited for you all to learn more about it and get your hands on it very, very soon. That's all I'm going to say about that, and I hope that Greg doesn't get mad about me saying it. And with that, I think that's all of the housekeeping notes that I need to make at the moment. Right, exclamation point Library. I didn't want to forget that as well. Tales and Tones from the Forbidden Library, where you can find some wonderful D&D content that you can explore, written not only by Greg, but by so many other wonderful people, some of whom are also regularly on this channel. So definitely check that out as well. And exclamation point BLM gives you access to resources regarding the Black Lives Matter movement. Even if we think that time has passed and some things have cooled down and no longer been an issue, they are still an issue, not only in the United States, but in the world as a wider space. And it is very important to do whatever it is that we can in order to support the movement and assert and affirm the value of Black lives in the United States and everywhere. And exclamation point Help Now, which I definitely didn't want to forget. As I've mentioned earlier, the last few weeks have been quite a lot for me. And there are times when you kind of forget that you can actually trust the people that you care about with the truth that you are not doing well. So if you are struggling, or you know someone who is struggling, those resources are very, very valuable. Not only in terms of finding ways that you can be supportive to the people who need it, but sometimes, most especially, so you can find the ways in which you can help people support you. So if you need that help, or someone else needs that help, that is definitely available there. Where's my background from? I forget. I picked it up somewhere. I picked it up from some stock photo site, and had the note of where it came from somewhere. But I need to check that out and actually put that somewhere so people can know. But without further ado, I should check in on my friends. So let me press some things so they can hear me. So I'm not speaking to the void. I'm sorry that I interrupted them from having whatever perfectly intelligent and erudite conversation they were having previously, like they were solving one of the great problems plaguing the world today, and I just interrupted them so we could roll dice, which is very rude of me. But regardless, here are all of my friends. Hello. Say hello to everyone, my strange friends.
Hello, strange friends.
Hello, strange friends.
I was kind of hoping you would do that. That's great. So Thank you so very much for joining us for this game, and I would like you all so very much to please introduce yourselves to all of the lovely people in chat, by telling everybody who you are, what you do, and who you will be playing this evening, starting with Valerie.
Oh no, it's a me. My name is Valerie Valdes. My pronouns are she, her. I am the author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions, two found family space opera novels that pair extremely well with Mike's books. Third book, Fault Tolerance, coming out hopefully in May, unless production schedules change. I am playing Skelly, the hound, a very sad bounty hunter dealing with her traumatic childhood.
Mm-hmm. Next, Iori.
Good time zone, everybody. Kusano Iori, Clarion West class of 2017, pronouns they, them. Fiction in Apex and Frozen Wavelets, reviews in Strange Horizons. I will be playing, as always, Of the Flame the Ash, our Severosi Lurk, whose pronouns are she, her.
Thank you. Next, Jeoi.
Hello, strange friends. It is this strange friend, Iori Gawain Lin, pronouns he, they. I am a fiction and game writer. I am playing, as always, the Hull and X-Whisper Crossroads, whose pronouns are it, its. Things have happened to Crossroads, and things will continue to happen.
Indeed, this tends to be the running theme. And last but not least, Mike.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Underwood. I write as Michael R. Underwood. My latest novel is Annihilation Aria, which is a found family space opera to read alongside or before or after Valerie's amazing found family space opera books. I have recently just restarted streaming my own self. Had a stream today, it was very fun. And you can follow me at Turbo Tango here on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter at Mike R. Underwood. Today, I am playing Ring Dalmore, the haunted veteran parent friend to both the squad and a variety of unruly children. He, him for me, they, them for Ring. And back to you, Brandon.
Nice. And yet again, I am Brandon O'Brien. I will be the GM for this evening. Pronouns he, him, or they, them. And I'm very excited to get into more trouble because it's been a while since we've returned to our strange friends. When last we checked in on the case of the Cindered Seal, y'all had just freed a small gaggle of children from a warehouse being run by Aldo Booker, where something was happening. We didn't really figure out much of what. Just that it wasn't supposed to be happening, and that part of how it was happening was that a rival of Skelly was seemingly running the show at that building. And in the process of freeing those children, not only did you severely injure this rival named Casta, but brought her back with you for potential interrogation, which has been very emotionally traumatizing for Skelly, to say the least. But there are still a couple of things left to be done as a result. Of note, you'll still have downtime to take at some point. Casta still needs to be interacted with at some point, for good or for ill. And if I'm not mistaken, there is also some leveling stuff that I need to take care of. In particular, that you have a crew upgrade that we should discuss. I know that you've had some time to think about what you might do as a result, and I think that you had something in mind already.
Yeah, so we talked about a few options off stream and in between streams. We've been thinking about some options for like heat management or maybe dealing with entanglements because we make enough plot our own self. And it looks like we settled on just passing through, which comes from the Smuggler's Playbook. And let's see, do we have Roll20 being shown here? Because I can just click the ability And that'll
Yes, you
put it,
should be able to do the thing.
that should put it into the chat for people to look at. But I will read it out for our lovely listeners. Just passing through. During downtime, take -1 heat. So that's each downtime, but not each downtime action. Separately, when your heat is 4 or less, you get +1d to deceive people when you pass yourselves off as ordinary citizens. Crossroads is totally made of meat.
Of course, that's what it says. I definitely believe that that's what it says.
Crossroads is made of extremely deceptive meat, +1d for deceptive meat.
So I think having a skill that allows you to having an ability that allows you to interact with heat is obviously very valuable as fugitives, since your interactions with heat is kind of the whole game. So yeah, I think that this is obviously very useful, and I hope that it comes into play very obviously in ways that are helpful and productive, says the GM, whose entire goal is to make sure that this process is as frustrating and annoying for you the entire time. So yeah. With that, I should ask the obvious next question, which is, what would you all like to do next? I know that you all have some downtime actions if you wanted to take some of those, especially if you wanted to very quickly indulge Vice in the hopes of lowering some stress. Or you can go looking for those other kids, or you can interact with Casta. I think to help move things along, I should ask the obvious person what they want to do first, which is Skelly, what would you like to do?
So Skelly, as a character, Skelly probably wants to deal with the missing children as quickly as possible. As a player, Skelly's got a lot of stress. And if she doesn't take care of some of that, it's very possible that trauma is going to result. But that could be fun too. Let's see what
I
kind of
think that
trauma
whatever
can occur.
we do, Skelly should probably clear some of that stress before we deal with Casta. Because let's be real about how much stress that will cause.
Well, I mean, hey, this could be an ideal time to see how the trauma mechanic works, right? No?
I mean,
Well,
in a game you can say those things. This would be a nice time to see how trauma would develop. But
real
is
talk,
that a
then
thing?
she
You
probably
can
needs to
tell
get rid
we're
of some stress.
writers.
Yeah, it's like, as a writer, I
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so downtime for her would probably be good for stress relief.
Okay.
One thing that we could use to seg into Skelly taking downtime is that I think one of our final actions last session was Crossroads and Ash basically going through and unconscious Casta's things. And as far as I know, or as far as I can remember, Skelly has not actually perused the entire armory that we've lifted so far.
This is true.
I think currently Ash and Crossroads are the only ones that know that we have ghost bombs on the premises, which might distress Ring a little.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we say premises, but we mean in Crossroads' chest.
I'm on the premises, I count.
But you are not a fixture of the premises. When
That's
we
true.
leave,
I'm
you
made of meat.
and
I'm
your
made of
ghost
meat
bombs
and cannot
are
be...
coming with us.
Yes, very true.
Another thing to keep in mind is that given the quality of our rolls, we did not get every weapon off Casta.
Oh yeah,
There's
definitely
still
not.
something in there.
Oh yeah. Casta came very prepared. Also, we haven't actually taken note of of the weapons that you actually did take off Casta. We just know that there were weapons. Nobody actually documented what they might be, or if they had any specific extra effects, which might also be potentially useful.
Oh no.
Yes, that is my bad. I wrote that down as a frankly alarming amount of weapons without itemizing the list, except for the electroplasm explosives.
But I mean, that's because one went off, so it became particularly noteworthy at the moment. But yes. So is that a thing that you want to do? Do you want to search Casta again?
So, Ash personally being a little bit tentative about violence, despite that whole thing with the cops that time, does not feel comfortable with the sheer amount of weapons that she and Crossroads are now in possession of. And I think the first thing that she would do would be like, hey, Skelly, we found a great deal of things. Got some room in your pockets?
I want to believe that Skelly would just like Anita Blake style, just do like a quick like glance over and be like, "That's not everything."
Mm-hmm.
Did you check her hair?
Her hair.
Crossroads kind of lifts its hands and like does this to itself, and then puts its hands back down like.
Where's Ring?
Oh
Is-
lord.
Is this some sort of Akarosi culture thing? Because we definitely don't do this where I'm from.
No, you just need to have weapons where people won't find them. Nobody ever checks the hair.
Anybody who is looking at Casta right now and would like to just observe Casta's hair can give me a roll.
I guess I will roll study with my extremely terrible hull eyes that have no points in study.
Wow,
I will use
okay.
survey for this because I'm looking for weapons, and I also Ash is pretty concerned about like, when is this woman going to wake up and try to kill us all?
Mm-hmm.
What is our position, Brandon?
Everyone's position is risky.
Oh, she's going to wake up soon. Okay.
And
Effect?
and everyone's effect is well, Ash's effect is standard.
Mm-hmm.
Skelly will literally put her hands in Casta's hair, for the record. Like, I love the notion that everybody else just kind of looks and is like, what? But Skelly's like, no, like this.
Right. So Ash's effect is standard. Skelly's effect is great, and Crossroads' effect is limited.
That's a
Limited.
6 and a 5 for Ash.
That's a 1 for Crossroads. Crossroads
It's
is
okay,
made of
Crossroads,
meat
you don't
and
remember
not
what
out
it's
of
like to
hair.
have hair.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's just a 3 and a 2 for Skelly. She's really shaken up by this whole thing. She goes to do it, and then she's like, God, I can't touch her. I hate her too much.
Okay.
I think with a 6 and a 5, if Skelly can't touch her, Ash is going to have to just grit her teeth and do it.
Okay, so here's what happens in ascending order of effectiveness.
Uh-oh.
Crossroads. It's just hair. You've never even
Thank
thought about hair before, but now that you are thinking about hair, yeah, this is just hair. Nothing
You don't
special
like
about
it. You're like, hair?
like-
What is it even?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It
Crossroads
makes you
doesn't like
feel
hair.
it makes you feel mildly disgusted and you don't know why. But other than that, you just note that it's hair. Skelly, you reached for Casta's hair, and there's this like brief flash, like as your hand extends forward, it stops being adult Skelly's hand and starts being young Skelly's hand, reaching for not adult Casta's hair, but young Casta's hair. And you have a flashback to a very nasty fight you all had at some point in the orphanage that ended so badly that like among one of the things that happened in that fight, the thing that you flash back to in particular is like grabbing Casta by her head and slamming her against the floor. And that flashback like freezes you immediately, and
The urge to do it again is so strong that I have to kind of like.
yeah. But you do obviously notice that she does obviously have something in her hair. It's less that you see it and more, come on, it's Casta. Ash, you put your hands in Casta's hair, and it's just hair, and you notice you notice that there are several hair clips that you didn't notice before because they're not like tying her hair in any particular way. They're just like present behind her hair. And when you take them out, that's when you notice that when they're not interrupted by any shape, when they're by being clipped upon something, they all just like snap into the shape of very small blades. They're all throwing knives. You take 13 throwing knives out of Casta's hair.
13.
So Casta's hair is like actually really thin.
Yeah, like it doesn't look like there would be hair clips in her hair at all, that they would do anything, or that you wouldn't be able to see them if they were there. And then you just discovered that they were there and that they're all knives.
I think these work like those bump hits you see on TV, and as Ash is pulling them out, her volume's just deflating. Meanwhile,
Asta
Ash
must
is
be
holding up
absolutely
one of
loaded.
these tiny knives and going, It's sharp. It has an edge. How has she not cut her own hair wearing these?
She's got to
And
put it in
just
right.
marveling.
Did you find her garrote?
Was I supposed to be looking? Has she got one?
Is she wearing a belt?
We
Oh,
did get a
hell.
strangling wire, I think.
Okay, good.
The
Yeah,
first
yeah,
pass
okay.
that.
Cool.
Yes, you did get
me thinking back, we got one.
You did find a garrote, yes.
Yes.
I said that on
Hey,
purpose.
and Ash is now just checking because she has had bilingual grammar problems in the past. So she looks at Skelly and goes, "A garrote. Singular, right? Singular?"
I will
Me.
give this to I will give this to Ash because it was a 6 and a 5, so like this is like accidental information that you're kind of getting now that you've asked yourself the question. Just like idly looking at Casta, you've noticed a necklace with no pendant, like just loose rope around her neck that you didn't pay attention to before. And you've noticed that her belt isn't like a leather or cloth belt, but just more rope. And now that you ask yourself the question, you're like, but it looked like very expensive rope when I didn't care. And now it doesn't look like rope in my brain anymore. Maybe I should look at that more closely.
Skelly
In
will just take her
Ash's
boots off too.
defense-
Like, just off. No boots. Boots gone.
In Ash's defense, I think the rope, especially for the necklace, was done with a woven colored cord so that to Ash it looked like some sort of religious accoutrement.
Mm-hmm. So, Skelly, you took off the boots?
Yeah, just took them off. Just there's probably something in the boots.
Um,
Just throw them in the corner. Like, forget this.
2 throwing knives on either side of the tongue of both boots, and the shoelaces are actually razored garrotes.
Mm-hmm.
And Ash looks up to Crossroads and says, "You know, if you'd done this sooner, I think you would have had a much easier time carrying her. We've removed half her body weight in weapons."
Yeah.
Crossroads thinks about that and then says she would still be squishy though.
She would be more squishy. In some cases, we want people to be squishy. We want our enemies to be squishy because that means we can beat them.
Who should just strip her? Scully's just having
No.
this crisis moment of just like, she's probably still hiding something else that we haven't found, damn it. This is going to end badly for us. All right. Anyway, moving right along.
Skelly, I would like you to give me a 2-die fortune roll.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. That's a 4 and a 2.
A 4's not bad, but it's not perfect either. You are briefly struck with the overwhelming urge to seriously physically injure Casta. It comes from nowhere. Like, no one else really notices, but there is a moment while everybody's having this discussion where your vision just kind of narrows at Casta, like just like lying unconscious in this chair. And you're like, nobody in this room would miss her, and it's not like she could fight back. It materializes in this moment as just the desire to just like commit some mild torture.
Just like fists, just kind of.
Yeah, like just some small cuts, maybe just drop her head in a small bucket of water. Nothing terrible, just obvious brutality. Do you commit to that urge?
No, Skelly takes 2 steps back.
I would like you to give me a resistance roll. This is an emotional consequence. So I think it's fair to say that would be resolve.
Okay. That's gonna suck. Here we go. A 2.
Okay. How much stress do you have?
I have so much stress right now.
Do you have so much stress that if you got 4 stress, you would suffer trauma?
Yes. If I get 1 stress, I will suffer trauma.
I am very sorry.
Kelly faints. Oh no, this is
no,
the worst.
I feel like this is going to be worse. This is going to be a violence blackout.
Okay, so let's look at the thing. Right. So
Stress.
Just like the pile of
Having
weapons
too
is
much
too
of.
much.
too much stress is a bad thing. A bad thing, quote unquote. So yeah, I think it stands to reason that the trauma that you suffer in this moment is very obviously vicious.
Yeah, it's just this kind of like overwhelming, like even after she was searched, she still has weapons. She's still clearly dangerous. She's done so much harm to so many people. And Skelly literally just pulled her out of basically a sweatshop where she was overseeing children doing something dangerous, like she always did.
So Lord, this is a lot. I'm both very grateful and actually very troubled by the fact that this is the situation that gets us to explore trauma in this game. Your vision continues to narrow, and then you stop seeing Casta in the chair. You see you. It's you as an adult, but you're wearing your orphanage clothes. But you're still tied up in the chair. Unconscious. And for a moment, it feels as a result like you are not in your body. What happens beyond that, you are not consciously aware of. You haven't sensed that you've moved. You feel like this urge to like cry or scream or run away that doesn't actually physically manifest in your body. Everybody else sees Skelly just knock Casta's chair to the floor. Casta doesn't wake up yet. And just start swinging wildly. Like, just punching and kicking at whatever part of Casta is immediately available for a limb. And it takes all of anyone's
Yeah.
energy to actually move her.
I think Ash is going to attempt to get in there because she can tell that Skelly is no longer in control of her actions and this is bad. But
Skelly isn't
given
here,
that
Mrs.
Ash
Torrance.
is our lurk and basically made of paper, like, yeah, no points in skirmish, no points in wreck. Ash is going to sustain a harm here, most likely.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Can I protect a teammate?
You can. Which one? Are you gonna protect the one who's probably gonna get punched in the eye, or are you gonna protect the one who is obviously going through it right now?
It is highly ironic that Skelly is the one who literally has the bodyguard ability.
Yeah. I mean, we also have someone who is not made of meat who can offer slightly more physical resistance as well.
I was about to say, seeing Skelly suddenly appear not to be in control of her faculties would strike Crossroads immediately, like in a remnant of its meat life, as having seen someone either become possessed or seeing someone's spirit suddenly vacate their body. So Crossroads as itself, i.e. a being that no longer, like, that doesn't remember who it was when alive, would want to reach out and like pick Skelly up and like just, no, you're going to move away now. But then past Roads, like the instinctual, this is what I did when I was alive, Crossroads, would want to attune to basically put the gears in Skelly's brain right. Like, as a former Whisper, that's what it would want to do. So in a way, it wants to do those two things at once. So I leave it up to the GM to say what roles that would construe. I'm also willing to roll a resistance to see if Crossroads is able to like fight back against that instinct of who it was when it was alive, to see if it does that first or if it does the skirmish thing first.
I don't think it would be a matter of stress for you in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a 1 die fortune roll.
1 die fortune roll.
Looks like we've got an inspiration from Arudinel for Crossroads.
I see.
Oh.
Thank you so very much,
it.
Arudinel.
You want to inspire Crossroads.
Okay. I mean, you might just need it.
Okay, so is that a 2 die fortune roll then?
Yeah, I think that manifests in this situation as a 2 die fortune roll.
Okay. Submit. Thank you for this inspiration. Is the notes. Submit. That is a 4 and a 3.
Okay. So you've seen things like this. But you have also seen it in like another situation that is not purely spiritual. Like the scenario that you're thinking in your head, like you flip through all of the times that you've seen like someone being possessed and it looked similar to this, and you're like, but it never felt like so smooth or so perfect before. And then you have a flashback to one of the first times you ever saw Runa get in a fight with a stranger.
Mm.
A man comes to your apartment back when you were meat, um, and you don't hear what they're arguing about, but you do hear, like the bits that you do hear has something to do with someone who has recently died. You presume is the man's partner or sibling or something like that. And Runa is very obviously, very calmly trying to talk this man down out of what is obviously rage. Like when you come down of the staircase of your apartment and see it, you see that this man is like seething. Eyes are bloodshot. You can see like a vein somewhere near his temple start to pulse as he like is not in the mood for patience right now. And you remember that he gets very mad, pushes the door wide open, and starts like wildly swinging in the house as if to hit Runa, but no longer thinking about Runa anymore and just thinking about being a whirlwind of carnage in this apartment. And you remember having to knock the guy out with a a, a kitchen pan and drag him out of your apartment just so he didn't make more of a mess. You also know that that would be a lot to do to your friend right now, but you know that you should do something because this is a lot of very reckless, very violent energy that is not spiritual, not ghostly. This is just pure carnage, and you know that you don't like it, and you know that Skelly wouldn't like being caught up in it, so you should bring it to a stop.
Okay.
If you do, um, skirmish would be the rule if you wanted to like actively knock Skelly out, and wreck would be the goal if you wanted to. Well, no, that's actually a mistake. Wreck is the goal if you wanted to knock Skelly out, and skirmish is the goal if you wanted to restrain Skelly.
I would like to restrain Skelly.
Okay.
And I would like, if the skirmish is successful, I would like to try and dissipate Skelly's carnage feelings into the ghostly void with a tune.
Okay, that's a lot, but we'll take it.
If I succeed at the skirmishing. Otherwise, I would just continue to skirmish.
Yes, we'll see this. We'll look at the skirmish first.
Mm-hmm.
Your position. Your position is risky.
Mm-hmm.
Your effect is great.
My effect
Plus one
is
die.
great. Okay, plus one die. I am submitting a roll. It is a 3, a 5, and a 6. What I got.
3, a 5, and a 6. You just kind of pick Skelly up and move Skelly. Like, Skelly is still, like, obviously swinging wildly. Like, Skelly, you are still not consciously aware of anything in this moment. But, like, externally, it just looks like Crossroads has picked up Skelly the way, like, an average-sized human would pick up a very feral cat. And has moved it to another portion of the room. Give me an attune roll. Your position. What is your position, May?
Position is stressed.
I mean, yes. Lord. You know what? Your position is still risky, actually, because this is going to be quite an ordeal that you are about
Hmm.
to experience.
Oh boy, I love it when the GM tells me that.
Your effect is extreme.
Wow! Scully, I'm sorry.
Um, +1 die.
+1 die. That's a 3, a
3,
3, a
3,
1,
1,
and a
6.
6.
Thank God for the
Uh,
6.
This terminal 6 is breaking my heart, but also saving me.
Yes.
Just that magical end 6 is so brilliant. You kind of wish in this moment that roll 20 gave you every individual die one by one, don't you? But that would be too much for our hearts. Um, Crossroads, you pick up Skelly and are looking right at Skelly while, like, all of Skelly's limbs are just continuing to turbine in rage. And then you're not in the room anymore. You are in a version of the room, but there is no table. You don't see Ring. You don't see Ash. You don't see any of the walls, even though there is still like this grayish space around you where you sense that there are walls, but if you try to approach those walls, they would not be visible or tangible. And you see a version of Skelly looking at Skelly sitting in the chair where you know Casta was. You are in a place that you know instinctively is not real. It's like a half space of like pure spirit. And you intuit as a result, because this is a thing that you've done before, that you are experiencing whatever Skelly is like experiencing in her mind in this moment. You look at Skelly, the Skelly that is standing. Skelly, do you think that you're crying?
Yeah, I feel like Skelly is someone who, when she gets into like a full on rage, extreme rage, it upsets her simultaneously, so she is crying, yes.
Um, you, Crossroads, you see Skelly crying, and when those tears leave the space around Skelly's face, they turn into weapons as they leave her body. Like one drop falls and it turns into a kunai. One drop falls and it turns into a spiked baseball bat. Um, and like just piles of weapons now at Skelly's feet. The Skelly that is sitting is emitting smoke. She's not on fire, but it's the amount of smoke that would be emitted by something that is on fire, like something that has burned all the way to like nothing. Um, and every once in a while, in that shimmer of smoke, you can see that it is still Casta. That Casta is in this chair. This is Casta. Um, and then it just shimmers back to like this younger version of Skelly that you have never met, but you can vaguely tell is also Skelly. Um, give me, give me an attune roll, controlled extreme.
1 attune roll, controlled, and extreme. No bonus dice. That's a 5, a 5, and a 3.
You don't have words to describe the thing that you know in this moment. And that thing that you know is some part of Skelly is wrapped up in intense guilt about something that you do not know. And sees the fact that Castor is here as an embodiment of that guilt. And you intuit as a result that the thing that would resolve that feeling in this moment is either move Skelly or move Castor. What do you do?
Well, this version of Skelly in this ghost zone is clearly in distress and surrounded by weapons, which to Crossroads is not good for people who are made out of meat. And so Crossroads is going to step in front of Ghost Zone Skelly and say, "Hi, maybe we should get some tea."
Skelly, give me a 1 die fortune roll.
Here we go. That is a 3.
You don't hear this. You hear a noise. You hear something that sounds like a voice very vaguely and very, like, warped. But you don't make out what the words are. Crossroads, you cannot tell whether you've been heard or not.
Crossroads is going to touch Skelly's shoulder then.
Give me an attune roll, controlled extreme.
Attune, controlled, extreme. That's a 1, a 4, and a 5.
Okay. You put your hand on Phantom Zone Skelly's shoulder. Skelly, you feel like this overwhelming warmth come over you, and you don't see anybody else in the space. You just you and the other Skelly. And as you keep looking at that chair, it just kind of fades away a little bit, like as if it was an image that was cast on smoke, and now some of that smoke is like being blown away and the image is slowly disappearing with it. And as it disappears, you get very, very sleepy. Like you feel like your entire body and mind is heavy. Give me a 1 die fortune roll.
Here we go.
Here we go.
It's a 4.
Just as your eyes start to close, just as it's gotten to that squinting point where you can barely make out anything in the room that you're in, you can see Crossroads. And you know that you are not in a physical space at this moment. You know that at this moment you're experiencing something purely mentally. It's like, why is Crossroads here? And that's kinda like you are about to obviously lose all consciousness, but you have just enough energy. If you wanted to say or do a thing, you can say or do that thing before you fall asleep.
Hmm. I'm just trying to think of how many words do I get out of this? Because if it's like you just have to do one word, it would just be help. And then she passes out. Actually, you know what? Nope. She has just enough to say get ring.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. You say that. You say get ring, and Crossroads hears it in your mind. And in the room, you fall asleep in Crossroads' arms. Ring, give me a 2-die fortune roll.
All right. I have several ideas of where Ring has been at this moment, but
Their
We'll
ears
let-
are burning.
we'll let the dice have something to say.
Well, this is not a ring fortune roll. I'm just making Ring roll the die to observe another thing in the room.
Oh, okay. Two.
Oops.
Yikes!
This is like that cursed roll where you had a 2, a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 2.
Yeah, I remember that. Golden roll. One of those moments when I thought I wish I had foresight to take a screenshot. Skelly falls asleep in Crossroads' arms. There's silence in the room for one beat. Another. And then everybody who's paying attention to the drama that had just taken place earlier can hear a kind of faint scratching or rustling on the floor right beside them. Caster's awake.
This is
Oh,
bad
no.
because I think Ash is probably the closest to her, given that Ash was just injured to a non-determined amount by Skelly.
I mean, yeah, you are roughly in Caster's space.
Do I need to roll harm,
Uh,
given that Skelly is a magnitude stronger than me?
did you? I would say. It would be hilarious. Ash has suffered the most harm in this entire um, campaign so far in terms of
Ash, no dots
individual
in combat.
in terms of individual moments of being hurt. Ash has suffered the most harm. I do think that it's fair to say you've suffered a level 1 harm black eye.
And that will give me a penalty on my effect from now on.
Yes. Good lord. Ash has
And
been
also
through
probably a
lot.
penalty on social interactions.
So,
Right.
so Brandon,
mhm.
when you said Casta's awake, the
Casta
first
is
thing...
just to clarify, Casta was bound, but Casta is like obviously looking at you all very silently and wrestling with her bindings.
So when you said Casta's awake in that hello friends kind of way, the first thing that wanted to fly out of my mouth was Crossroads steps on her head. But
Okay, I want to be sure.
I mean,
Is that
why
a thing
not?
that occurred to Crossroads?
if Crossroads heard it and Casta is like tangibly awake and looking like she will cause some kind of a ruckus.
Actually, given just the relative size and sturdiness of Crossroads in comparison to literally everything,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't it be the most effective course of action for Crossroads to just go lay down on top of her?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
If you go for the head, that's only 1 point of contact and she's still got limbs. Because I don't trust those bindings to actually stay.
So here's the thing. Crossroads is a whole, and even though the person that it was programmed, quote unquote, to obey is no longer around, Crossroads will still listen when people tell it to do a thing. So if somebody in the room who is conscious that it considers a friend, of which there are currently 2, tell it to do a thing, it will do the thing.
I see.
But if not, the immediate character reflex that I want to say is Crossroads steps on her head.
Indeed. Ring, might you intervene in this moment? You have also noticed that Casta is obviously awake.
Yeah, I don't remember if Ring was in the scene, but I would pitch
Ring's
that
here now.
Ring is
Ring
here
is here
now,
now.
and I have 2 options depending on how Bugs Bunny we want to be.
Okay.
One is Casta breaks away and is running out the door into a clothesline as Ring like sees her coming and she gets knocked over and then Ring tackles her. Or Ring walks in with like medium heavy sailor's chains wrapped around their shoulder and just body slams Casta using their weight plus the extra 50 something pounds of chain around them.
Okay.
So I think Casta is still on the floor.
Yes. Casta is still on the floor
And
at this
still
moment.
nominally
For us
bound.
to engage with this, it means that we're already taking the risk that she's going to get up out the chair. So, I'm gonna give you this weird, totally out of order option right now. Casta getting out of the chair is the devil's bargain for whatever role you are planning to take next, which means that she gets the opportunity to flee. If this goes poorly.
As funny as either of those options that I gave earlier would be, absolutely not.
Exactly, I figured. The devil will get his day, but it is not this day.
Yeah, so maybe instead, this is when Ring ducks into this warehouse that we're using, like from a second story, like side entrance, like kicking snow off of their jacket, and just throws their snow laden jacket on Casta, which is probably 30 pounds in wet, and then comes down the stairs into the situation.
Love it.
What things are in your jacket?
What
Booze.
things are in my jacket? At this point,
What's the
it would
heaviest thing that you think is in your jacket at this point?
Just a couple dozen pounds of wool. I think it's just a heavy winter jacket because they've had the time to go home and de-war, because they had geared up to go to war. So they would probably have food, some parchment, a pen, some kind of slightly mobile pen, possibly some rope that's in the jacket or wrapped around their coat. Ring knows from hearing about Casta that throwing something onto Casta that she can use to murder people is bad. But this is Ring going, this is the heaviest thing that I have that is not me bodily dropping myself from 10 feet up on this woman.
Cool. Fair enough. Okay. So you throw your jacket over her. You hear her just kind of mutter something gutturally under her breath, as it lands all this jacket is huge, by the way. It's it engulfs her body. Toe to tip just wraps around the entire chair like a top. And you can hear her cursing under her breath.
Stay
Ash
there.
is backing away from this and just says, "Nice move, smart friend."
Here's the deal. You have a very narrow path out of here alive. And it requires taking your steps very carefully, not pulling any shit, and telling us the truth. And I will know if you are lying. Do you understand? Verbal response is required. And Ring is just going to kick her.
Give me a... the kick is good. Give me a command roll.
Okay.
Position controlled, effect standard, plus 1d for the kick.
Sounds good to me. All right.
Good
so
lord.
I have 2D command. This is controlled standard. Because it's a controlled roll, if I get a fail, I can pull back and try a different approach. Plus 1d for the kick. 165.
Okay.
Ring is in control of the situation.
A lot of things happen all at once. You kick her. She sputters a bit. Like, you hear her wince, and then she starts sputtering as if the jacket is actively waterboarding her for a brief moment. And then, like, she brushes it off, and you can see her head now. As she, like, looks at you seething and says, I don't know what you think you're gonna hear from me, but at least I understand. I hope you understand that I'm not supposed to... that I have no intention of betraying my boss, just like you wouldn't.
That doesn't sound like you're making it out of this room alive.
That's what I would say. And,
All
like,
right.
out of the corner of her eye, she catches sight of Skelly unconscious in Crossroads' arms and chuckles to herself.
If you're me, what's the person on the ground's way out of this room alive? What are you willing to do to not die today? Is any boss worth your life?
I'm accustomed to answering those questions on the fly, so I guess it's time to experiment. I guess the question I should ask you is, how much torture are you willing to pass out?
Crossroads has its sensorium trained on Casta right now, because it had been very curious by the fact that her pulse was very slow for someone who had been shot and was under a lot of emotional duress. So what does Casta sound like right now?
Still very calm, still very reserved. Heartbeat is actually a bit slower than before. You're not sure if this is because Casta is, like, on the brink of death or just, like, terribly calm at the moment. You can't really tell. But you get the impression it's a result of, like, a very obviously manufactured kind of calm. Like, she is, in fact, attempting to be in emotional control of this situation. But you can tell that she knows that she's not.
Rather comically, Crossroads is not going to do anything with Skelly. Because this is where Crossroads remembers one of its prime directives is don't let other people know you're not made of meat.
I feel like it's a little late for that. But at this point, Ash has gone to
Casta's
stand
not a friend,
next
though.
to Crossroads. And Ash is just, calmly checking Skelly over while Crossroads holds her. And she says very conversationally, maybe we should wake our knife friend up and let her finish this.
It's always an option. Did you fight in the war, Casta? Maybe a little young for it.
Your war? Nah. But there are all kinds of others. You know this.
It's the war I got sent to. Didn't ask for it. Yeah, I'm not saying you didn't go through shit. I'm just saying maybe you were in a position where you're under orders, under the thumb of a war whisper to get the right information, to open the right door, to knock down the right gate. I had to do all of that shit.
I'm sure.
Who's the boss? Who are you working for? You working for Aldo? You working for somebody working for Aldo?
That sounds like a very easy question to answer by reading some names on some cardboard boxes. Is there something else you'd like to ask?
What were the kids doing in that warehouse?
Things with boxes. I don't know.
That's another kick. So at this point, I want to abstract to avoid like actually describing stuff on the edge of torture. To my goal is to use command or consort to get information out of her, and I'm happy to make some rolls for it. At this point, I think that's the version of the scene I'm more interested in than trying to talk everything through.
Cool. So, I will say as a result that the forcefulness that you are willing to apply will get you 1 bonus die for that command or consort. Your position is controlled. Your effect is limited.
So am I going to have greater effect with either a command or consort in this situation? It seems like command is not doing a lot for me, which makes me wonder whether pivoting to consort is better. I can also do sway because I have
sway won't work. You just know in your gut sway won't work. In fact,
I feel like I don't have the leverage for sway.
Because, like, without any effort, this is information that I'm willing to say is the kind of thing that you being who you are in the first place, this is the kind of information you just kind of read off of someone in the first place. You know the exact hierarchy of what's going to work the absolute best. Consort is better than command because you get the impression that Caster is the kind of person who has gone through worse interrogations before and said very little. But you also know what's going to do better than your consort. You know that it's Skelly's. You also know that Skelly's not going to have a good time with it.
Yeah. I think Ring is very happy to do the harder thing so that Skelly doesn't have to deal with it. Based on how the amount of times that Skelly has to Ring like shut down almost to the point of not being reachable by the friends in the last 3 days. And so I want to roll consort. And I think the pitch there is you have your life, you have your work, you do distasteful things. So many people have to do distasteful things to stay alive in this city. Here's what I need to know. Best case scenario, we get everything we need to know, and you and Skelly never have to see each other again. It's a big city. Because right now, if you want to keep having you and Skelly go at each other throat to throat, you lose and you die today. So you don't want that. And I don't want to have to get rid of another body. So let's work together. And that's the pitch, and I'll roll.
Okay. So I will let you roll first.
All right, so sorry.
As an aside, while I would like to say that while Ring and Casta are having this conversation, Crossroads still hasn't moved whatsoever because currently it's hoping to pass itself off as a statue that is somehow holding Skelly. If anybody asks later. But it would want to kind of do with Casta what it did to Skelly, which is sort of enter the nebulous ghost space that her spirit is currently inhabiting to see if, in a similar way, Crossroads can kind of pull any kind of gleaning random information that her subconscious brings up into the ghost field that she might not actually say out loud.
Curious. Okay.
So it's not like so this is not Crossroads outwardly applying ghost energy to Casta, but kind of Crossroads metaphysically going away, quote unquote, into the ghost field like it did when it went to the horizon to like see what it can see.
Cool.
About Casta then.
Cool. So we're gonna do that, but I want Ring to roll first.
Yes.
And we're gonna have both of those rolls before I give you the information of those resolutions.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. One, can you remind me what position you said? Is this still controlled or is it risky?
What action are you taking?
I'm using consort.
Right. Your position is controlled. Your effect is standard now.
Okay. I want to push to risky great.
Okay.
Which basically means probably means pushing some of her buttons. And I feel like I've sort of already been doing that. Like I'm happy to take risky great here because then I can like resist consequences, and that's like my deal. I'm happy to do that. Also, does weaving the web apply? You gain +1d to consort when you gather information on a target for a score.
Yes, that does apply here.
Okay.
Which is interesting because you're already going to get another die.
Yeah. So yeah, I would be doing risky great +2 die.
Yes.
Blades in the dark, baby.
All of these
Fingers
could still
crossed.
be ones.
I know, right? We'll see. Nope, there's a 6.
5, 2, 6, 3, 2. Okay, this is nice.
No crit, but I'll take a success on risky great.
Yes. A 6.5 is still good in this instance, to me. So things I want to know about is anything she has to do with Aldo and what's up with the kids. Okay. Crossroads. Give me a tune roll. Risky position. Standard effect. I have a devil's bargain for you.
What devil is speaking to me today? May I take your order?
You can get +1 die. And the narrative effect of that +1 die is the narrative result of that +1 die is you will literally be drawing from the lay electroplasmic energy of having just recently left Skelly's trauma escape. The consequence being you will suffer harm
Oh, how much harm?
It'll be a level 1 harm. What it looks like will probably depend on the roll.
Okay. I will take that bargain.
Okay, +1 die.
+1 die. Oh man, I suddenly have a terrible feeling about this. But I rolled. It is a 3, a 2, a 1, and a 3.
Wow! Wow!
So Yoi's consistently beginning 1-6. I think Crossroads gave its 6 to Ring.
A 3, a 2, a 1, and a 3 is actually not ideal.
Of course not.
It makes me feel really bad about what happens next, which is like you feel yourself like very slowly leaving Skelly's mind and re-entering the ghost field to try to attach to Casta, and the process of doing that so quickly, like so suddenly and so like forcefully, feels physically heavy to your body. You don't notice it, but Ash, who is right next to you, hears a very loud bang and notices now that there is a dent in your chassis as big as your own fist. You have now gained the level 1 harm, dented leg.
Dented leg.
Yeah.
Love me
Just
a
like
dented leg.
just that concave piece of steel like forcing into your leg. It doesn't look very nice. But yeah. And that happens, and you also do not gain access to cast in the ghost field. Which is unfortunate. But Ring got a 6. So Casta like shuffles a bit on the floor. Is like still trying to awkwardly move your coat out of her face.
Yeah. And if a gather information question is applicable here, it would be what's really going on here.
Okay. So she looks at you, Ring, and every once in a while since you've asked that question, she now finds herself like looking at Crossroads. If only because she's like gotten the vague sense either that Crossroads is very obviously not made of meat, or that like some weird ghost shit just happened, and it just has to be the very large and hulking thing that hasn't spoken to anyone yet.
Just a statue, jeez.
But
You've got Skelly across your lap like the Pietà. Like this is.
Oh god, I want that fan art very quickly. So yes, so Casta looks at you and says, "You were in the war, and you know what it's like for people who weren't in the war, who've been fighting wars every day of their lives. So, I don't need to tell you that once the money's good, I don't need to know what's in the crate. I didn't know what was in the warehouse. All I knew was a guy paid a guy who paid me to ensure that kids were the only people who handled what were in the boxes, because they say kids are the only people who can. Some old school superstition, probably older than the Isles themselves, that when you find one of the forgotten gods things, children can touch them the easiest. I'm sure you've heard that one. To me, they were just trinkets and boxes.
Children's rhymes say every 1 out of 3 contains some kind of knowledge that nobody else remembers. It's good to know children.
Brandon, would Ash have heard that in the course of her antiques work? Or as a basic culture thing?
Give me a... Hold on. Give me... a study roll.
Of the flame, no dots, and study the ash.
Tough
Position
times.
is...
Position is controlled. Effect is... No, yeah, this is your work. Effect is great. For no dice, this is going to be curious.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. 6 and a 4.
Wow, a 6 and a 4 with no dice means that the roll that you take is the 4.
Yeah.
Which is still not bad.
Look, I'm sure that at some point God's going to tell me about it. So it's really.
Yeah. You're gonna have a lot of stern words with the imperishable wing at some point. But what you have heard in the course of your work, and it's come up very often in the obviously very nastiest of ways, which is, people have asked you very weirdly if you've ever sold something that has ever been gifted to you or was discovered by a child. Because there is every version, like every community in the Shattered Isles has a version of this myth, but the origin of the myth is like Hadrathi myth, like it's older than Severosi. And that is that the younger you are, the less likely it is that if you touch an artifact of the Forgotten Gods, gaze upon the Forgotten Gods themselves, or perform a rite of the Forgotten Gods by yourself, the less likely you will be cursed. It's not true all the time. Like, you've also heard stories, you haven't witnessed any of these things, but you've also heard stories that regardless of your age, if you interact with these things, you're going to have a bad time. But people like to at least leave children to take the risk because they believe that myth. So you believe that what was happening as a result of that description is children were handling Forgotten Gods artifacts because someone thinks that that's the safest way for it to work. Which sucks. Because it's either not true, or it is true and children still don't deserve that.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So Brandon, with great effect and a 6, can I do a follow-up?
Oh yeah. You still have a good few questions to ask. I will let you know when you run out of opportunities to gain information.
Okay. I'm going to spend one right away to try to ask, how can I discover the Cindered seal? Like, just does she know where it is, what it is, anything that leads toward it?
Wait. Casta's eyes open very wide and then narrow. She looks at you. She looks at Ash. She looks at the statue. She looks at you again. How do you know about the seal?
I know a lot of people. Big smile.
Then a lot of the people that you know are either worse than me or in a lot of danger.
Sounds like Duskwall.
Crossroads, you
Uh-oh.
notice you notice Caster's the heart rate briefly spikes and then goes right back to slow at the very mention of the Cindered seal. And both of you notice that she's still very like stern in this moment, but she seems much more likely to give you information in this moment because for whatever reason this bothers her a lot. And she says, if this is a thing that you know, either it's because you're willing to kill anybody to know it, or you're going to die, so I might as well tell you. They say the Lady of Thorns brushed up against a piece of dusk wall one time and it turned into a block of solid smoking marble. And that if you take that piece of stone and touch it against any person on earth, that person becomes your sole property. Their very spirit belongs to you. I don't believe it. Or that's what I would have said before I got to that warehouse 4 weeks ago and someone handed me a small wooden crate that wouldn't stop smoking but was never on fire. And then I saw a grown man open it and turn into a pile of dust right in front of me. I don't touch that shit. I don't deal with that shit. All I care about is that I'm the best gun in the room and someone pays me like I'm supposed to be. I haven't opened or closed any box in Dunslow since I got there. And I never cared about anything that was in them. And then that box got there, and the guy told the guy to tell me that the only people that were allowed to touch boxes were children. And I'm gonna be real with you. I care about my money a lot, and everybody here has to do whatever they need to do. And I've seen some of these children get paid better to just stand in a corner in that warehouse for half an hour than I've seen natural born killers get paid to hunt. So I didn't bother them either. But I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want them touching anything either. And you can ask any of the kids that you got. I told them the same. But whatever terrible Leviathan magic is in any of those crates, a thing called the Cindered seal is one of them. And I've seen that it's generally destructive enough that I want nothing to do with it so long as I'm getting paid. And I hope that you're either getting paid or you know where you're going when you're done with this, because there are only 2 other places to go. Off the island or in the grave.
Sounds about right.
No, it doesn't. I just told you someone died touching a piece of stone. This doesn't bother you. Bothered me.
You're mistaken. I said it sounds about right. Not that that was good, not that that was just, not that it made sense, and not that this whole city isn't totally fucked up. But it sounds about right. As in, that's the kind of week we've been having.
Fair.
So if I'm going to go take that, what do I need to be on the lookout for? Aside from you, if you're back there with your guns.
Well, first and foremost, as a matter of courtesy, if I ever live long enough to come out of these shackles, you best believe that my only 2 choices are you kill me now or the person who hired me kills me in the street if I don't look for you, so that's going to be a thing. But best believe there are better hunters than me looking for you as well.
We've experienced that as well.
Also
Alright.
worth noting, I never said we still had it. I said that I saw it. That was 4 weeks ago. And then a short woman in a cloak and a bird mask. I wasn't on call when it happened. I just heard the story. But short woman in a cloak with a bird mask broke into the other warehouse where we stored some of our stuff. Came specifically looking for that. Took it and fled. Got in a gunfight with 2 other people. And we haven't been able to find them or it until they died. And we still don't know where it is. Just that she's dead. Ring and Ash. Any roll you give me to determine who that is risky position and standard effect. Crossroads, if you want to know, give me a 1 die fortune roll.
So I got a 4 on study.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you said risky standard, right?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh! Due to my 0 dice, we're just going to ignore that 5 and take the 1.
Wow. So
Ash has forgotten what Runa Casper looks like.
I'm glad that you as players know, but you as characters, Ring, you get the impression that Cass is having this conversation as if to hint to you that you know who you're talking about, but none of you can guess.
However, I can push myself, or any of us can push ourselves to intuit that a seemingly mundane fact has significance to your investigation.
I mean, yeah, I'll give you that for free. It does in fact have great importance to your investigation. You should probably find out who she's referring to.
So, Crossroads has seen Runa before.
Yeah.
Crossroads has seen Runa more than any of us.
And both alive and dead as Meat Roads and Crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
If Crossroads attunes now to try and speak to Runa's ghost, was that you? What would that do to everybody else in this room?
Okay. I would like you to give me an attune roll.
Oh my god. An attune. What would my
Your position is
be?
desperate.
Oh.
Your effect is extreme.
Oh. No.
Plus 2 bonus dice.
Oh my god.
One because of your level of attunement to the ghost field, and the other because you already have a personal relationship with the person who you believe this might be.
Okay. I'm about to roll. I'm just really scared of clicking right now. Here we go. It's a 4, a 1, a 2, a 6, and a 2.
Okay. You stop to think to yourself, short woman. Sounds like Runa. Never saw that bird mask before, but considering that Runa was responsible for designing this, it would seem perfectly logical. You turn to Casta lying on the ground, still tied to the chair. The ocular lenses of your head close and open, and when they open again, You see, like, the ghost form of Runa Casper standing over Castor's body and like staring daggers at her. And like you can see that she's muttering something under her breath, but you can't hear it. But you're the only person in the room who can see that Runa is present. And she looks up at you and can sense. Wait, I mean, there's nothing behind me, so I guess she has to. I guess it has to be looking at me. That doesn't. And like, Runa is actively looking around to see what Crossroads might be looking at. It's like, nope, it's looking at me. And like meekly waves at you. Is there a thing that you want to gain it? This is a thing that you want to learn in this moment?
So Crossroads is going to say, was that woman you? To Runa.
Runa nods. And then like very slowly walks up to you. Like you haven't really registered like how big your chassis is compared to Runa until this moment, because like you've never, except for ghost forms, you've never actually seen her again since she's passed. But like Runa is actually quite small. And she walks up to you and like gestures for you to like kneel down a little bit so she can whisper something in your ear.
I crank my sensorium up to 11. I can hear colors. And I can hear ghosts.
And Runa notices that that's happened, and like you can see that she chuckles to herself, but you can't hear it. And then you hear her speaking to you even though her mouth no longer is moving. And she says, I really didn't want this to be your fight, but it had to be someone's. That seal is nasty business, and it's not the only one, and you know that because you've seen me do this work before. I'm sorry it had to be you, but someone needs to get rid of that seal. And I can't remember where it is now. If Aldo or anyone else finds it before you do, it will be... It will be terrible in a way there are no words to describe. All I can say is... The last thing I remember was that I got shot in Brightstone. Two people working for Booker met me with all of their guns loaded and just emptied out in me. If I didn't have a friend to take care of me, I would have died right there and then. And I dropped it, and my soul can't even sense it anymore. That's how dark that thing is. I'm sorry. And no, what were you gonna do before Runa does the thing?
Before Runa does the thing, Crossroads was intending to ask, did it kill me? Because we learned many a session ago, and the rest of the crew knows that the last thing Crossroads remembers of Meat Roads is a relic-looking item flying at their face and then everything stopping afterwards.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't the seal. That was another artifact. I'm sorry for that, by the way. I was. It took me a while in the space of the ghosts to learn that I was not a good person to you before this. But it wasn't that artifact. And then Runa pauses for a moment and like is staring like fiercely into the middle distance and like turns back to you and goes, "Wait. That was a relic. I need to tell you something. Give me a one die fortune roll."
Oh no, we hate the fortune rolls.
This might be a good place for another inspiration if someone has one left.
Oh no is going to be my notes.
Heh.
4. It's a 4.
Okay, a 4. Okay. You can sense that your connection to Runa, your connection to the ghost field is briefly fading. Not because you're losing energy, but because Runa is like being pulled back into the ghost field. And like Runa notices this and actively looks back as if like the place where she's going is actively behind her, even though like that's where the rest of the room is. And she curses to herself and then she says, "Before I go, you touched a relic. Being relic touched means that you have the gift of sight." And then she disappears.
Crossroads wonders if it has another pair of lenses on its body right now that it doesn't know about.
So while that's happening, Ring, you still have questions. You still have any question? You still have a few questions if you want to ask. I will say you roughly have like 3 available things you can learn.
Let's see. Does she know about any weak points of Aldo's, like him or his organization?
Aldo Booker? One of the weakest rich folks here there is. Likes to put on the airs of someone well cared for and well secured. Once you can get into his house and win a fight with one hull, you're mostly fine. The only problem is you might run into his guns anywhere in the street, but once you've gotten past them, his own base, mostly paper thin security. That being said, he likes to put up a fight, so you better be prepared for a very sturdy one-man army and a house that will make it difficult for you to get to him.
Is any of that a lie?
No. You very sternly get the impression that he has a lot of soldiers who are like just roving around Duskfall like like semi-secure gang. That the vague impression that you've gotten about Aldo Booker's own house from Crossroads earlier makes it seem like it doesn't have guards, but it itself is relatively bunker secure. And that there is a hull there, and that hull is of higher quality than Crossroads. Everything else gives you the impression that Caster believes that if someone threatened Aldo would fight you himself.
Right. Do we already know where Aldo Booker's actual house is in the stuff that I got from August?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't need to ask about that. Do y'all out of character have other questions or in character that you want to pipe in since other people are in the scene? I've mostly through my list.
Did we ascertain she doesn't know where the kids are? The ones that did not make it? Because they
Yeah.
were there, but they ran in just a different direction, right?
Yeah,
So she wouldn't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely one to include. So,
Well,
go ahead.
Where's the second warehouse? Because this second warehouse she talked about might be where the kids evacuated to.
Right. Yeah, so Ring can ask, where would they take the kids after that? You know, basically after we pulled the job on that warehouse. Is it this other warehouse? And can you give us the location of one or both of those?
She is mostly confident that the other warehouse is on. Where is the other warehouse? The other warehouse is in 6 Towers. But she is confident that the children would not go there. They were only present for the job. They obviously wouldn't feel secure in that place. That was just somewhere where they went for work. And the kids that she worked with wouldn't be there anyway. Unless specifically called, but they did most of their work in Dunslow. So she has no reason to guess at where those children might be, but she highly doubts that they would flee that scene by going essentially back to work. And relatively presumes that they wouldn't report to Aldo because she knows that they're not loyal to him. They're just loyal to work.
Right. That's.
You get the impression, by the way, just by hearing her say that they had no idea that their lives were potentially in danger handling those artifacts.
No, that's the sense that I got. Yeah. Anybody got anything else? Oh, what do you know about active cults in the city?
Cults are not my jam, friend. The only things that I've ever thought very deeply about on a spiritual level is where people go when they're on the other end of my sniper scope. I will give you this other one thing for free. Because this hasn't been our business, but it's been the business of the seal. Have y'all met a woman named Mara Kesserin?
Out of character, I don't believe we have, not by name.
Out of character, we have not, unless she has been very sneaky and not given us her name.
Yeah,
unless she's been straight up like, wait, hang on.
Because or Mara is another name for Runa or for nosy rich lady who showed up.
Yeah, hang on. I'm trying to go back and find the name of nosy rich lady because I know I wrote that down.
It is not the name of nosy rich lady.
Okay, then. Your guess is as good as mine, pal.
She gets the impression that you have no idea who she's talking about. It's like, so the blue coats haven't gotten to you, have they?
It's the nasty lady with the shoes that we hate.
Yeah, that's probably it. Blue coats are blue coats. They've got their own agenda.
but there's
David,
one inspector who cares a lot about this seal, and her justification, I have no idea. And I've been ordered, obviously, not to get in a gunfight with her because killing an inspector, obviously nasty business. So I take it she has
Oops.
approached you because she wants just the seal something awful, and I have no reason to know why.
something like that would be a good way to climb yourself up the ranks walking over people's dusted bodies, wouldn't it?
I mean, in the work, having a tool that allows you to literally puppet people's bodies however you wish might be an easy way to do blue coat work, but it also sounds like an awful lot of hassle just to lord over a couple of the gangs. I've no other reason why someone like her would want it. It's made no sense to me, and she's approached Booker several times with either money or muscle trying to learn more about it. Luckily, she had no idea that we ever had it before this lady stole it, but suffice it to say that she's unnecessarily brutal and unnecessarily determined.
That
So if
sounds like a
she
blue coat to me.
so if she hasn't gotten to you yet, when she gets to you, she's gonna roll through like a storm. And if she already has gotten to you and you're still standing, there's storm yet to come.
We got crickets. We aren't afraid.
Winter
Says
and
the
dust
meta
ball,
pigeon.
thunderstorms and snow,
Worst weather of all the
ghosts,
world.
rum, and the hope for just a little bit of light when tomorrow comes.
The barest
And then
sliver of it.
Ring will like take a step to the side and turn to keep Casta in, like, not even into their peripheral vision, but look to the rest and say, anything else?
Ash will have to respond because Crossroads is being a statue. Crossroads is, for once, not made of meat. No meat.
No
meat.
questions here, but I wonder if perhaps we should wake our friend up and make sure she hasn't got any questions.
Skelly?
Or fist questions. Fist questions are also valuable.
I don't know if Skelly is wakeable at the present time, so.
Well, then do we want to call this scene?
What are we going to do with her? I'm asking out of character, just... We didn't plan ahead, guys.
I mean, so
you could leave her on the beach like the last guy.
Ring does have,
But still change at the chair. That feels reasonable.
Ring
And then
does
and
have,
facing the beach, like head to the water.
yeah, I think some combination of our abilities and items can probably render Casta unconscious again without it necessarily being permanent damage.
We've given her about 11 concussions. The fact that she was able to have this conversation as coherently as she did was a minor miracle.
Oh yeah, this entire conversation as if she has taken place as if she's never been injured the entire time. Even though
Right,
she's
well-
like bleeding from the leg and there are obvious bruises on her forehead. Like,
Yeah, Casta's like a series 888 Terminator, like not liquid, but later very tough model.
yeah. She has the stamina of Elliot Spencer.
Hit her a bunch, she just gets stronger. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. That being said, if you did want to just knock her out, that's not hard. I wouldn't even make it a great deal of effort.
Well, I don't like the idea of leaving her here conscious.
Yeah, I can just have a like Ring knew what they were doing coming here. I've got slumber essence on my specialty item list. Sufficient to put someone to sleep for an hour. The victim's sleep isn't supernatural, but it is deep. They can be roused with some effort.
Okay. So is that the decision that we're actively making? Are we going to slumber essence caster?
I think maybe that is the fictionally most sensible thing for the group to do at this point. And if we establish it in the scene before we end the scene, we cover our butts.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
it
think so,
buys us
too.
an hour to make a better plan.
Yeah, I think it would make sense for Ring to use the slumber essence because Ring has been in charge of the conversation this entire time. So it makes sense that Ring would then take the initiative to close the conversation, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so Ring will turn back and say, very civil conversation. Now, you will probably understand that we're going to have to put you back under, but this time it won't hurt so much.
So do I get to leave here?
That'll be the next conversation we have.
Do I have one last word before I sleep for what may be my second to last time?
Not going to gag you now.
Tell Skel Callan that I'm shocked that she has friends like y'all, given the kinds of work that she's been doing.
No, I don't think I need to do that.
And she's out. Like, she snarls a little bit just before she passes out. And now she's fully asleep. For 1 hour, totally unconscious.
As soon as she is asleep, Ash looks up at Ring and says, "You know, now that we have what we needed from her, I'm not opposed to letting Skelly just finish her little job here. If it makes Skelly feel better, you know. Clearly there's something here that we're not privy to, but if it helps Skelly work things out, then I will stand back and let Skelly do what she needs to."
Oh, I'm not going to get in her way.
Skelly is sleeping right now.
That's a lot. It's a lot to take in, so we may need part of that hour just to go over everything she said. Near as I can tell, she wasn't ever lying. Best as she believed, that was all the truth.
I talked to Runa.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way.
It just happened. Wasn't particular. Just letting you know, I saw Runa just a couple of minutes ago. It was a idle conversation.
Well, you were questioning our prisoner. I was talking to a ghost. It's all normal for us. It's very normal.
She was looking at Casta. She wasn't happy about it.
In fairness, I was not particularly happy to be looking at her either, and I don't even know her.
True. The person who took the seal was Runa. That's what I asked her.
Has she just been with you the whole time? Or
sometimes she shows up.
where the where in the name of the broken sun are the spirit wardens? Do we have to worry about them too now?
I don't know
think
what a
perhaps-
spirit warden is.
I think perhaps our tall friend is haunting more than just itself.
I haunt myself.
That's how you move, isn't it?
Oh. Well, that's good. Because Runa also said that the relic that killed me when I was made of meat isn't the seal. It was another relic.
How many are we playing with?
I don't know. But she said that because a relic touched me, I have sight. But I could see before that. So I don't know what that means.
I think those are the extra ghosts.
Oh. But
Because-
I was a whisper before. So I could already talk to ghosts before. So I've only been talking to ghosts. So if there's something else that I can do that the relic did to me, it hasn't happened yet.
Maybe it's a third kind of ghost. Because there are the ghosts in the field, and then there's the ghosts we are. Because, of course, we are all haunting things. It's just that, you know, I am haunting meat, and you are haunting metal, but you used to be haunting meat. And then there are the ghosts that are haunting everything else. Maybe there's a third kind of ghost.
Runa did say that the seal was so dark that she couldn't sense it anymore. Maybe I can sense relics? I've never tried to do that.
Those might be haunted.
What do you think, Ring? You are smart.
Not smart about artifacts, smart about maybe a lot of other things, but cults, spikes that turn people into ash. It's not my world. I can deal with her. I can deal with the hunters coming out after us. I can deal with blue coats, this Mara. Artifacts, I need your help. I need all of your help.
Then I will try very hard to remember what I was good at doing when I was made of meat. And then I can do my part to protect you, Ring.
Thank you. And thank you for protecting Skelly.
You're welcome.
And hopefully when she wakes up, we can figure out something else.
Yes.
Ring kind of realizes that the food that they brought is in the jacket, like is in the coat, and then goes over and pulls out a bundle. And of course now the food is cold because of the interrogation.
I can
think
heat it up
Ash
with ghost
has gotten-
energies, though.
Ash has gotten the smelling salts out of her bag and is now just working on like, come on, Skelly, come back. We need Skelly advice.
So Ring will like open the bag a little bit, shake it, and like present it to Skelly, hoping that if there's one thing that might wake her up, it would be food.
As Crossroads is like holding Skelly out to receive these offerings, it looks down and goes, "Why is my leg dented?"
Should I do a fortune roll to see if Skelly wakes up?
I want you because I mean it's trauma, so I was going to bring up a thing, but
Okay.
for the sake of the narrative, I'm going to say I want Skelly to give me a 2-die fortune roll.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Ring, what delicious food did you bring
It's
us?
a 1 and a 4. Skelly starts dreaming about food inexplicably.
So what if buttermilk biscuits were made with goat's milk? Because Duskwall has goats, lots of
Yes.
goats.
Lots of goats.
So I think that's probably the major dairy.
Oh no, Mike, I'm so hungry and goat milk is so expensive in this country, so it's only a special treat for me.
there's something
and
strange.
mochi. Yes, and mochi.
Lord.
My strange friends, when there's something strange in the neighborhood, who do you call? Goats.
Ring
butter!
Dalmore!
Oh Lord.
Oh god.
So, I will say, because on the continuum of asleep and awake, I would say that 4 is good, but not awake good. So, Skelly, you have a dream. Like, you were in that space of hurt and confusion earlier, and then you were nowhere. You were just unconscious. And then, like, this bright yellowish greenish color kind of like wafts into your vision. And you have this very warm, very simple dream of you and what seem like all of the kids from your orphanage who you genuinely got along with. People who were nice, people who were decent, people who like shared snacks with you or liked hearing you read stories to them. Like sitting in this meadow and like sharing a bag of cookies. It's very nice and it's very warm, and you have this feeling like in this moment you have never genuinely been happier than this. And when the bag of cookies is passed to you again, you reach into it, and when you look down, it is no longer a bag of cookies. It is a bag of eel empanadas. And when you pass it to your left, to the person who is sitting to your left, you're passing it to Ring Dalmore. And when you turn to your right, you see Ash and Crossroads, who are like you are so happy and warm and joyful in this moment that even though Crossroads is definitely made of meat, you can sense that even Crossroads is boundlessly happy in this moment. And you have this feeling like, I never want this moment to end for a good long while. And as you put that eel empanada in your mouth, and everybody is smiling and laughing, the camera kind of pans very slowly out of that vision. And that's where we're going to close today's session of The Case of the Cindered Seal.
Now I want an empanada. This is not fair.
So this is the part where we obviously have the conversation about what trauma means in the game Blades in the Dark. Which is, while this will not be for a very long time, Skelly is out of the action for just a little bit. That reads narratively as not only have you gained a trauma condition, but for a portion of our next session, you will probably still be asleep. And we will return to you at some point while you are recovering from that experience. If you have not already, you have no stress, and you have the trauma condition Vicious, which will come into play in very unfortunately dramatic ways later on as well. everyone still has the downtime actions that they have not spent, which is the part that sucks because I really wanted Skelly to deal with that stress, but the narrative demanded it, so I made a decision, and I'm sorry. Um, which means that our next session will not only include actually fulfilling those downtime actions, but now rapidly spinning into the end game now that we know all the players. Um, so, how do you all feel?
I might need to take a minute to process all the information.
That was a lot.
It was a lot of information.
So much happened.
Brandon, have to deal with. I have to take a minute to deal with this game, and I'm the GM who made the decisions in the game.
You had to think of all the information.
Good lord, good lord. Y'all have been through a lot. Ash has a black eye. Skelly is asleep. An assassin is asleep in your best friend's abode. 3 children are still somewhere. And now that you know the names of 2 people who are trying to kill you over a thing that you do not have, the last person who had it doesn't remember where it is.
Fortunately,
Oops.
only about 30 to 45 minutes of time in the world has passed over the course of this episode.
Yes.
So all of the background clocks are not advancing that fast.
Mm-hmm. So
Also,
there's still a great
we-
deal of time.
But I will point out that it's like late morning of the 7th day, and we did not sleep on the 6th night.
That is true.
We should do that at some point.
Sleep is good, I hear.
Crossroads
Ash has
doesn't
pulled
need
more
to sleep.
all-nighters since joining this team than she probably has in the last 3 or 4 years.
I can just imagine Ash and Faris going back to the antique shop, lying down on a couch and never getting up from that couch for several days. But yes, sometime very soon, I hope that we can get into more of the action and let our strange friends get into some trouble now that they know what the stakes are and who all the players are. But until then, I would like each of you to tell all the lovely people in chat who you are, what you do, and where people can find you. Starting with Mike.
You can find me brainstorming the sequel miniseries to The Case of the Cindered Seal, which will just be a coffee shop AU. And it's not even an AU, it's just a sequel series where the Strange Friends chill the F out. Until then, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/turbotango. You can find all of the episodes of Case of the Cindered Seal on YouTube at youtube.com/ArvinElleron, or in audio at speculatesf.com. You can also watch Splendor and Shadow, which is our Rebel Crown miniseries, which will probably be concluding soon. This next episode could be the last one. Raised eyebrows, plotty fingers, which I GM that, and Brandon plays in that, and it's very fun. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Mike R. Underwood. That's me.
Nice. Next, Jeoi.
Hello, hello, the strange friend known as Jeoi Gawain Lin, game and fiction writer, and plotting along with Mike Crossroads' fate in the sequel series of the Copy Shop AU as a haunted espresso machine. Ooh. You can find me on Twitter at This Is My Design. Design is spelled capital DASEIN. It is a philosophy and Hannibal pun. And yeah, next time Crossroads will continue to have more things happen.
Nice. Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano, Clarion West class of 2017, they, them pronouns. So excited for this coffee shop AU in which Ash is just the unhappiest barista. You can find my fiction in Apex and Frozen Wavelets, my reviews at Strange Horizons, and I am on Twitter at Iori Kusano. That is spelled IORI. There are no L's in my name!
And just idly, I will also shout out that you have a Clarion West thing happening very soon.
Oh, yes, I do. I am teaching at Clarion West with Vida Cruz a class on tarot for writers called Sometimes You're the Magician, Sometimes You're the Fool. That is at 6 p.m. PST on October 29th. I think. Oh, wait, no, I take it back. There
Are
are
there no
no
more
seats
spaces?
left. That is sold out.
If you are not in that
But
workshop, you have lost out
if you're
because I think
not
it's
in
going to be
it,
rad.
keep an eye out. Who knows? Maybe there is a wait list.
Yes, definitely check that out if you can. And last but not least, Valerie.
I am Valerie Valdes. Pronouns again, she, her, and you can find me on Twitter at Valerie Valdes. That is with an S, not a Z, if you're listening. And you can find me on Twitch at The Kids Are Asleep, which is when I play video games. If you feel like coming out and watching me do it.
And you definitely should. As for me, I have been your humble GM, Brandon O'Brien. Pronouns he, him, or they, them. You can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tides. The Fugitives playsheet that our strange friends are playing is of my design, which you can find at therisingtides.itch.io if you are interested. I wrote a poetry book this year. It's called Can You Sign My Tentacle? It's published by Interstellar Flight Press, and you can still get your hands on it right now. So please, if you'd like to visit your local indie bookstore and please support my book, that would be very, very lovely. And I will also mention that even though this is the last session of the Case of the Cindered Seal for this month, because it is spooky season, I have asked my strange friends if they would like to do a thing, and we still have to discuss what that thing might be. I have some very spooky ideas of what that thing might be, but suffice it to say that before Greg's usual Halloween reading that will take place on the evening of the 31st, we will be gathering to play a very spooky one-shot. We still have to discuss what it is. I have some ideas, but know for a fact that all of us in attendance will be gathering again on the 31st to play something very spooky, so you can engage with that. You can expect that to happening very soon. But until then, I'm going to say adieu. I'm going to bid adieu to all of my strange friends, and I would love everyone in chat to give all of your love to our strange friends. Thank you so very much for playing this evening. Tonight was really rad. I can't wait to see you all get into more shenanigans. But until then, I will see you all very soon. And I'm going to press some buttons now. So I can move over here. Hello everyone. Thank you so very much again for coming out for this evening's session of Blades in the Dark, The Case of the Cindered Seal, our Speculate co-stream on this channel, twitch.tv/ArvanEleron. Thank you so very much for supporting this channel. Thank you so much for supporting this stream. Thank you so much for supporting all of us. I'm very excited to be able to do this thing. As you can see, it's been going on for a while, even though I thought it was going to end ages ago. So I'm very excited all of the time to be able to do more cool stuff. Thank you so very much to Greg, definitely, for giving me the opportunity to be in this space, for being a part of Speculate, for being able to do these cool things on this channel. I'm always very grateful that we have the opportunity to do cool stuff like this here and have all of you in attendance for that cool stuff. Thank you so very much. Let me bring up the things so I can see all of the things, because so many people were here. And Twitch often seems weird and doesn't give me the opportunity to actually highlight how many very cool people are present. Thank you so very much to the mods, Arudinel and Triffity Mats. Thank you so very much for being present. Thank you so very much for making sure that the chat was on its best behavior, although everybody in this community is always often on their best behavior. But since I saw very early, just a few seconds ago, that some weirdness happened that needed someone to observe that, thank you so very much for checking on that. And that's why you all are the best mods in the business. Thank you so very much to everyone who came out to see the stream today. Crit Twitch, Arabs, Harlequin, Mapricot, Mrs. Dunsel, Saint Pomelo, Second OBS, Strike Trap Claire, The Kids Are Asleep, Timaeus, Turbo Tango, U Christensen, V and K, and Von Meat, and also Nonstop. Sorry for missing you there, Nonstop. Thank you so very much for passing through this evening. I hope that you enjoyed everything that you saw this evening. Um, if I'm not mistaken, there will be more content waiting for you on Tuesday. Let me just make sure of the calendar. No, that's not the button. That's not the button I wanted to press. This is the button I wanted to press. Right, so the calendar for our upcoming week is on Tuesday. There will be Adventures of Middle Earth at noon EST, and then Pen and Pixels Talisman Adventures at 4 p.m. EST on Tuesday. So there's nothing on Monday, unfortunately. That will give you enough time to catch up on VODs, obviously, and spend time in the chat and hang out with all of your cool friends there. But on Tuesday, that will be Adventures in Middle Earth and Pen and Pixels. On Wednesday, there will be Community D&D, which sounds very interesting, and I hope that you check that out with our lovely DM Shadowed Mage, Dragon of Icespire Peak. On Thursday, there will be no content. But on Friday, there will be yet another session of Esper Genesis, sponsored by Alligator Alley Entertainment, which is always very lovely. So you can get to spend time with all of our good friends, Zach Clay and Kat Rambo, and Carlos Hernandez, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And on Saturday, which is going to be a fun. The epic conclusion of the Forgotten City I see on this calendar that's going to be very exciting. I haven't been following enough about that on Saturdays because my Saturdays have been kind of busy, but that's a thing that I'm going to have to definitely check out the VODs for. So if you have been checking out the Forgotten City, that's an opportunity for you to see it come to its grand conclusion as Arv wraps that up. And then on Sunday the 17th, next week Sunday, is the tentative date of Soundclash Clampdown. We haven't had a session in a good long while because life has been happening for me and for everyone else. But rest assured that the crew of A Cordial Eclectic is ready to gather again on Sunday to get in some shenanigans. God willing, because some I's need to be dotted and some T's need to be crossed on Sunday. But that should, if all goes well, if this session goes well, or whenever we have our next session of Soundclash Clampdown, that will be when you will meet our new 4th member of the crew, and I will save that to be a secret for that session. But that's the goings on of the next week. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening for the case of the Cindered Seal. I hope that you enjoy everything that you experienced this evening, and I hope that you will join us again very, very soon. But until then, until the next time that I or Arv or anyone else are on this channel, I hope that you have a wonderful evening. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and let your problems be someone else's problems. Have a good evening, everyone, and I will see you all very soon. Bye. So here are all of my encouragements for you all to make terrible decisions, as I am the GM.
Ash has a crossbow bolt in her side, 0 dots in skirmish, and 0 dots in wreck. And I'm so excited to see this get even worse. So that's 1 vote for escalation.
Skelly has 3 guns and all the ammo.
Crossroads has no guns, but Crossroads is a gun powered by ghosts.
Have we established that your guns are special to you? I feel like we're establishing that your guns are special to you.
Before this crew, they were my only friends.
You've known us for 5 days. You've known those guns a lot longer.
These are my babies.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Rowan was starting to do this, and then he realizes to harvest. This doesn't help. Like, don't do that.
This is not.
No.
This is
Like,
not.
don't
Don't
do
do
this.
this.
Like, yeah.
Doing this to an executioner.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
Like this, like.
We call that the go sign, you know? Like, yeah.
Oh man.
This theme's great. I will do a fortune roll. Notes. No thoughts. Head empty.